Eat, I say. This is Parmesan, the real deal, the sanctioned kind. Lenka brought a whole block yesterday. She said she ordered it especially for me from some Italian friends. And you're sitting there, picking at it with your fork, as if I'd just given you sawdust. Zinaida Petrovna carefully, with almost surgical precision, cut a thin slice of cheese and placed it on a cracker. Her fingers, immaculately manicured the color of a dusty rose, deftly handled the silver knife. She sat at the head of the table, like a queen in exile who had found a new, opulent kingdom. The kitchen they were in resembled a luxury appliance store showroom more than a cooking space. The chrome surfaces of the refrigerator, the latest model built-in coffee machine, the touch-sensitive cooktop that had never once been used to fry cheap cutlets. Everything here screamed prosperity, someone else's prosperity. Ilya pushed his plate away. The smell of expensive, aged cheese made him sick. "I'm not hungry, Mom." "Thank you. He's not hungry." Zinaida Petrovna snorted, popping a cracker into her mouth and squinting contentedly. Of course, he probably had sturgeon for breakfast at home. Linka said they went to that new restaurant where the dinner receipt was like my pension for 6 months. You're lucky, Ilyusha. I look at you and think, what a fool he was growing up. But look how he settled down, like a king. She glanced around her property, lingering on the new dishwasher, which hummed quietly, barely audibly, as it washed the porcelain. By the way, Urga's laptop is acting up again. Lenka promised to buy a new one for the exam period, so remind her carefully. Your sister's term paper is overdue, and it's impossible to work on this old machine. And I really need a new lawnmower for the dacha. The one we bought last year is getting a bit heavy for me. Let Lenka look at the self-propelled vehicle. She knows about it. Eli looked at his mother and saw not a loved one, but a calculator. Endlessly calculating profits. There was no interest in her eyes in how he was doing, whether he was healthy or why he had dark circles under his eyes. There was only an endless list of purchases and home improvements. He clasped his hands, feeling the coolness of the wedding ring he'd forgotten to take off against his skin. "Mom, we need to talk, seriously." Zinaida Petrovna lazily reached for her coffee cup. The aroma of Arabica coffee filled the space between them. "Come on, who's stopping you? Do you want to borrow money?" "Well, I don't have any. I spent it all on renovating the bathroom. You know, the tiles are gold these days. Ask your wife." "I'm not talking about money." Ilya straightened up, staring at the glossy front of the kitchen cabinets. "I'm leaving Lena." The mother's cup froze halfway to her mouth. Nothing fell or broke. She simply carefully returned the china to the saucer. The sound of the dishes touching was dry and short, like a pistol shot with a silencer. "What do you mean, you're leaving?" she asked, and there was no fear or sympathy in her voice, only genuine, profound bewilderment, as if her son had said he was going to walk to the moon. "On a business trip? Or did she kick you out for some fresh air for some little screw-up?" "So, Ilyusha, don't be proud. Buy a bouquet, the more expensive one, and fall at her feet. Linka's a forgiving woman, but strict. You screwed up, fix it." "No, Mom, I didn't screw up. And this isn't a business trip. I'm filing for divorce." Zinaida Petrovna slowly, as if studying a strange insect, turned her gaze to her son, her face, a minute ago relaxed and good-natured, she began to turn to stone. The wrinkles around her mouth deepened, her gaze prickly and tenacious. "Are you drunk or something?" she asked quietly. "What divorce? Are you out of your mind? You have everything. A house. A full cup. We bought you a new car. Irka and I, for example, don't want for anything. What the hell kind of divorce? Are you mad with money?" "I don't love her. I can't be a sponger in her house anymore. I want a normal family where I'm a man, not a convenient accessory for going out and an errand boy." Mother made a sound like a croak. It was a laugh devoid of humor. "He's a man. Look at him. A romantic hero. He doesn't love." "Do you like to eat well? Do you like to drive your ass around in a car with a leather interior? Don't you like helping your mother so she doesn't have to dig around in shit in her old age? She leaned forward, her nostrils flaring predatorily. You're seeing someone? Yes. Come on, answer me. You've got a woman? Ilya nodded. He felt uneasy discussing this here, amid the expensive technology and the smell of cheese, but there was no turning back. Yes, her name is Marina. We've been dating for 6 months. I want to be with her. Marina. Zinaida Petrovna rolled the name around on her tongue as if tasting sour milk. And who is she? Is that your Marina? A model? A deputy's daughter? A businesswoman? Ilya chuckled. The question was asked exactly as he expected. No, she's a librarian. Works at the district library. Lives with her parents in a 2-room apartment. Silence fell in the kitchen. But it wasn't the silence of horror, but the silence in which a powerful computing processor was working in Zenita Petrovna's head. She looked at her son, and the numbers were rapidly changing before her eyes. The mortgage for the dacha, her daughter's tuition, the cost of groceries, utilities, her own trips to the beautician, all of it, was now burning red and going to hell. Librarian, she hissed, her face twisting as if she'd cracked a rotten nut. So she lends out books? Just us. And what's her salary? Minimum wage? Or a little more? Enough for a bus pass? I don't care about her salary, Mom. I feel good with her. She's a person, not an ATM. Zinaida Petrovna stood up abruptly. The chair scraped across the expensive tiles with a disgusting screech. She went to the window, beyond which she could see the gray courtyard of an ordinary residential area, from which her daughter-in-law's money so reliably separated her. He's happy, she muttered, looking out onto the street. He's happy, you see. And have you thought about us? Did you even think for a second with your chicken brain what would happen next? She spun around. Now a slouchy woman stood before Ilya, and a fury from whom they were trying to take a piece of meat. Do you even understand, idiot, how much it costs to maintain this apartment? Do you know how much the medicine Lenka orders for me from Germany costs? Do you think your librarian will buy you normal panties? You'll be howling in a month. You're used to the good life, Ilyusha. You're nothing. You're a nobody. Everything you're wearing. It's Lenka. The watch on your wrist, Lenka. The phone in your pocket, Lenka. You even got your teeth treated at the clinic, Lenka arranged. Ilya sat motionless. Every word his mother said was spot on, but it didn't make him want to justify himself. On the contrary, with each phrase he realized more and more clearly how right his decision had been. I'll find a second job, he said calmly. I will help. But I will not live with Lena anymore. He will find a second job, the mother shrieked. Will you go as a loader or a taxi driver? How much will you earn there? Pennies. But we need a level, Ilya. A level. Urka is used to dressing in boutiques. I am used to eating normal food, not pasta on sale. You have no right to ruin all this because of some lust. This is not lust, Mom. That's life. Life is when you have money, Zenita Petrovna snapped, slamming her palm down on the artificial stone countertop. And without money, it's not life. It's survival. I survived my share in the 90s. Enough. I'm not going back to poverty just because my son got an itch in his pants and decided to play at romance with a penniless librarian. Zinaida Petrovna's face turned red, which showed through unattractively through a layer of expensive foundation. She looked at her son as if he'd just confessed to murder, or in her worldview, even worse, bankruptcy. Her fingers clenched convulsively on the back of the chair, her skin white, her flawless manicure digging into the soft upholstery of her tongue of skin. The kitchen grew stuffy, the air thickened, saturated not with the aroma of coffee, but with the electric tension of an approaching storm. What? What did you say? Are you filing for divorce because of that flirtatious woman? Do you even realize that your wife supports not only you, but me, and your sister too? What will we do without her money? Zinaida Petrovna pushed back her chair and began pacing the spacious kitchen like a cornered animal. Her heels clicked on the tiles, beating out a nervous, ragged rhythm, She grabbed a towel, then the edge of the table, then ran to the window, but then immediately turned away, unable to look at the gray reality behind the glass. Have you completely lost your mind, or has that librarian of yours brainwashed it? She screamed, spitting. Look around, Ilya. Open your eyes. This refrigerator costs as much as your new flame's 2 kidneys. This renovation, the Italian tiles, the German plumbing, Lenka paid for it all. She made our lives, pulled us out of the mud, and you want to flush all this down the toilet for some affair? It's not an affair, Mom, Ilya said quietly but firmly. He sat hunched over, feeling his insides clench with disgust. I can't do this anymore. Lena doesn't respect me. I'm a thing to her. Bring it, serve it, shut up, don't bother me. She even takes me to corporate events just so she has someone to hang her coat on. So what? Zenita Petrovna stopped abruptly in front of him, her hands on her hips. Her eyes burned with the cold fire of calculation. So what? The crown fell? So what? What a beauty. For the money she pours into our family, it's worth it. She can hold a coat and bring slippers in her teeth. Are you a man or what? A man should provide for his family. And if you can't earn enough for your mother to go on vacation, then sit and keep quiet, since your wife brings it all to you on a silver platter. Ilya raised a heavy gaze to his mother. Bitterness mingled with fatigue in it. So you don't care that I'm unhappy? You don't care that I wake up every morning wanting to never come home? The main thing is that the income doesn't dry up? Yes, she barked without batting an eye. Yes, stability is the main thing for me. The main thing is that Irka finishes her education at a decent university, which, by the way, your wife is paying for. Have you thought about that? My sister is in her final year. She needs an internship. And Lenka promised to arrange a job for her with her partners. And now what? Where will Irka go? To the supermarket checkout, or to the library to breathe dust, like your new pauper? Zinaida Petrovna began pacing the kitchen again, wringing her hands. Her movements were so filled with genuine horror at the prospect of poverty that Ilya felt terrified. She wasn't afraid for him, not for his broken fate. She was afraid of losing access to the trough. Do you even realize what this will cost us? She continued, no longer shouting, but hissing like a snake. The rent for this apartment is $15,000 in the winter. My medications are another 10. Food, clothes, gas. Where are we going to get that from? From your mid-level manager's salary. You'd only earn enough for pasta. I don't want to go back to counting pennies. I lived like a human for 5 years. I'm used to good cosmetics, to massages, to being able to go to the store and not look at the price tags. And you want to deprive me of that? I'm not asking you to starve, Ilya tried to interject. I'll help. But I can't live with a woman who despises me. He'll be the one helping. The mother mimicked him with caustic sarcasm. How will you help? 3,000? Your librarian probably wears holy tights herself. A pauper for a pauper. What a match. You'll drag each other down. What will she give you? Read you a book at night? Show you her spirituality? You can't live on spirituality, Ilyusha. She came right up to him and grabbed him by the shoulder, her fingers digging painfully into the fabric of his shirt. Listen to me carefully. You throw this nonsense out of your head right now. Block that library mouse's number. Go home. Buy Linka flowers. Fall at her feet and beg forgiveness for being an idiot. You can say it's a midlife crisis, the devil got into it. Whatever, but I want everything to be back to normal by this evening. No. Ilya shook her hand off. I've already rented an apartment. I moved my things in yesterday while Lena was away. I'm not coming back. You moved your things in? Zenita Petrovna staggered, as if she'd been physically struck. Her face went from red to a sallow gray. Have you already decided everything? Without me? Have you decided to send your mother and sister away for the sake of some ragamuffin? For yourself, Mom. For yourself, Mom. For yourself. Selfish. Ungrateful bastard. She choked with anger, her chest heaving under her silk blouse. Who needs you for your own sake? You need you as long as Lena is standing behind you, as long as you're the husband of the owner of a retail chain. And without her, you're nothing. Zero. Silch. And it's your Marina who will leave you in a month when she realizes there's nothing left to take from you except alimony and debts. You're betraying the family, Ilya. You're betraying us all for your lust. Zinaida Petrovna collapsed into a chair, clutching her hand to her chest, her whole demeanor suggesting a heart attack. But her eyes remained dry and angry. She quickly realized that appealing to pity was futile, and instantly changed tactics, switching to outright threats and insults, unleashing a bucket of pent-up bile on her son. For her, he ceased to be a son the moment he ceased to be a profitable investment project. "Stop this act, Mom! Your heart is healthier than an astronaut's," Ilya muttered, watching his mother fan herself theatrically with a napkin. Zinaida Petrovna immediately straightened up. The mask of suffering slipped from her face, revealing a cold, calculating grimace that made Ilya truly uneasy. She stopped fidgeting. Now she looked at him as one might look at a broken household appliance that can no longer be repaired and is only taking up space. "A performance, you say?" Her voice became quiet and ingratiating, but there was more menace in this silence than in her scream. "Do you think your whole life isn't a performance? Do you think you're anything special in yourself? Ilyusha, wake up. You're my most unsuccessful investment project. And now you're trying to default. An investment project?" Ilya repeated, feeling a chill run down his spine. "You're talking about your son now. I'm talking about facts." She waved her hand sharply, and the gold bracelets on her wrist jingled like shackles. "I invested 20 years in you. I fed you, clothed you, hired tutors, wiped your ass. And for what? So you'd grow up and bring home a librarian with a salary of 3 kopecks? No, my dear. I raised you so you could settle down in life and settle me down. And when you married Lena, I breathed a sigh of relief. I thought, well, finally, the guy isn't exactly a genius. He's not exactly a star. But at least he's got the goods, and he was able to charm a rich woman." Ilya sat there, stunned. He knew his mother loved money, but he'd never imagined her to be so cynical. Every word she said was like a whip, flaying his skin and revealing the ugly truth of their family relationship. "Do you even remember who you were before Lena?" Zinaida Petrovna continued, pacing in front of him and pointing a finger at him. "Remember how you got into trouble with that car loan, which you wrecked a week later? Who paid off your debts? Mom? No, Mom didn't have that kind of pension back then. Lenka did. Silently, without a single reproach, she pulled you out of debt. And when you got fired from that logistics job for mixing up the invoices, who found you a job where you could sit in a warm office, shuffle papers, and earn 100,000? Lenka. She got me there so I'd be supervised." Ilya objected, but his voice sounded uncertain. The mother's arguments, though cruel, were well-founded. "I'm a nobody there, Mom. I'm just the boss's husband. The co-workers look at me like I'm nothing." "I don't care how they look at me," the mother shrieked. "The main thing is what falls on your card on the 5th and 20th. You have status. You have access to resources. You're a link in the chain. Because of you, you idiot, Irka and I have the opportunity to live like normal people. You're our bridge to a normal life. And you want to blow up that bridge because, you see, you've gotten bored." His pride flared. "Where was your pride when you were getting your teeth done with Lenka's money, or when we bought Irka a car with her bonuses? Nothing stinged you then?" She walked over to the table, poured herself some water, and drank it down in one gulp, never taking her heavy, hateful gaze off her son. "Listen to me, Ilya. I didn't put up with your alcoholic father. I didn't carry the two of you on my back through the 90s, so that now, in my old age, I'll be counting pennies and picking out rotten potatoes at Piatorka. I'm used to comfort. Irka's used to comfort, and we're not going to give it up because of your whim. It's not a whim." Ilya slammed his fists on the table, but the sound was dull and pitiful. I want to be happy. I'm a living person. Happiness is expensive, son. Zainita Petrovna snapped in an icy tone. And you don't have the money for it. Your Marina won't give you happiness when you have nothing left to eat. Love fades when your stomach is empty. But Lena's money is a guarantee that I will have good health care, my sister will have an education, and you will have a comfortable life. She leaned toward him, her face very close. Ilya saw absolute emptiness in her eyes. There was no love there. There was only a calculator. If you get divorced, slowly spell out every word, she said. Then forget you have a mother. Neither you nor your pauper will ever set foot in this house. I won't let you in. Change the locks, your phone number. I'll cut you out of the will. Even though you have no prospects anyway, the apartment is mine. You'll become a stranger to me. Dead. You're abandoning your son for money? Ilya whispered, feeling something inside him finally break. I'm abandoning the dead weight, she replied harshly. A son who prioritizes the family's interests. I love Lena more than you, an ungrateful brat, because Lena is reliability. And you're the problem. I don't need problems. I need peace and prosperity. Znaida Petrovna straightened up and crossed her arms over her chest. She towered over her seated son like a monument to greed. So choose, Ilyusha. Right now, either you pick up the phone, call your librarian, tell her to go to hell and go back to your wife, or you get up and leave here forever. And don't you dare call me mother again. A mother who raised a man can't have a pauper son, one who traded a gold mine for a shack in a residential area. A heavy, sticky silence hung in the kitchen. The only sound was the hum of the expensive refrigerator, filled with delicacies bought with money that had become more precious to Zinaida Petrovna than her own blood. He looked at the woman who had given him life and understood that, in reality, he had always been an orphan. He just realized it only now, when he stopped paying for the right to be called her son. Ilya slowly rose from his chair. His movements were heavy, as if a concrete slab had fallen on his shoulders, but his head suddenly cleared. This conversation, for which he had been preparing for several days, choosing his words and arguments, turned out to be simpler and more frightening than any expectations. There was no drama of misunderstanding, no generational conflict. There was only the dry accounting where the income column was blank, meaning the asset was subject to write-off. I heard you, he said in a voice devoid of any resentment or anger. Only the echoing emptiness of a house burned out from within. You know, all these years I thought we were a family. A strange family, perhaps not the most united, but still a family. And it turns out I'm just an employee of your personal corporation for providing the good life, and I was just fired for incompetence. Zinaida Petrovna didn't answer. She looked at him with disgust, the way one looks at a sauce stain on an expensive dress, annoyed at the thought of having to spend money on dry cleaning. You fired yourself, she muttered through clenched teeth. You betrayed us. You chose poverty. Well, go ahead and get in. Go and enjoy your Khrushchev-era romance. Just don't come crawling back here when your librarian starts nagging you about having nothing to wear. The door's locked. I'll change the intercom code today. Ilya grinned. It was a crooked, terrifying smile. Don't bother. I'll forget this address faster than you think. He turned and walked into the hallway. His footsteps sounded hollow on the expensive laminate flooring. But before he could reach the arch separating the kitchen from the hallway, he heard a rustling sound behind him. Zenita Petrovna grabbed her smartphone, the latest model, a New Year's gift for her daughter-in-law, and her fingers danced across the screen with predatory speed. "Where are you going?" she shouted after him, not to stop him, but to buy him time. "You think you're just going to walk away and leave me to clean up this mess?" "No way." Ilya stopped and turned around. His mother pressed the phone to her ear, and her expression instantly changed. The angry grimace vanished, replaced by a mask of unctuous concern and obsequiousness. Her voice became sweet, drawling, sickeningly kind. "Hello, Lenochka?" "Hello, my dear. Hello, sunshine." Yes, it's me. Sorry to bother you, I know you're busy. Lenashka, why am I calling? Ilya is here. Yes, I'm here. Zinaida Petrovna cast a quick, triumphant glance at her son, full of cold calculation. He told me such things. I'm absolutely horrified, my dear. He mentioned the divorce. Can you imagine? What an idiot, God forgive me. Ilya stood and watched this spectacle, feeling a lump in his throat. This was the final betrayal. His mother wasn't just kicking him out. She was calling his then-wife to swear allegiance to her, to reassure the source of her finances of her loyalty, preemptively betraying her son. Lenoka, listen to me. He chattered into the phone, ignoring Ilya, frozen in the doorway. I told him right away. You're a fool, Ilya. You don't understand your own happiness. I, Lena, am completely on your side. You're like a daughter to us, you know that. And him? It's all just a whim, a midlife crisis. Don't worry, I'll set him straight. And if he's a fool, he'll still leave. Lenochka, you know. You'll always be my beloved daughter-in-law. Urka and I won't abandon you. We're family. Don't listen to his nonsense about another woman. It's all temporary. He'll come crawling back. Ilya couldn't bear to hear it anymore. Every word the mother said was a nail, driven with businesslike diligence into the coffin lid of their relationship. She was bargaining. She was selling the remnants of her motherhood for the opportunity to continue receiving bills and gifts. He turned away silently, walked into the hallway and took his jacket from the hanger. The mirror reflected an unfamiliar man with a gray face and dull eyes. Ilya pulled on his shoes without tying the laces, just to quickly leave this place, permeated with lies and the scent of expensive perfume. His mother's voice could still be heard from the kitchen. Of course, Lenochka, be sure to change the locks. Block his cards, let him sit without money. He'll instantly become Shelkov. And Ira and I will stop by tomorrow. I'll bake you a pie, your favorite. With cherries. Yes, yes, don't worry, we won't abandon you. Ilya took hold of the cold handle of the front door. He wanted to slam it so hard that the plaster would fall from the ceiling, so that the crystal in the sideboard would jingle, so that his mother would shut up for at least a second and realize what she had just done. But he knew it was useless. The noise would only irritate her, not make her think. He opened the door and stepped out onto the landing. He closed it behind him quietly, carefully, with a soft click. This quiet sounded like a gunshot to the temple of his past life. Behind the door in the apartment, Zinaida Petrovna ended the conversation by hanging up. She exhaled, feeling a cold sweat trickle down her back. My heart was pounding, not from pity for my son, but from the adrenaline rush of a successful deal. Lenka seemed to calm down. She said she appreciated the support. That meant the flow wouldn't be cut off. That meant the renovations at the dacha would continue, and Irka would be paid for her internship. Zinaida Petrovna approached the table. Ilya hadn't touched his food. She looked at the plate with the untouched cracker and cheese. Idiot, she whispered into the void, addressing the place where her son had just been sitting. Weakling, life is a jungle, and you're a herbivore. She sat down, adjusted the napkin on her lap, and picked up a glass of water. Her hands weren't shaking. She took a sip, then picked up a slice of Parmesan and popped it into her mouth. The cheese was delicious, tart, expensive. The taste of stability. She chewed slowly, savoring the nuances of flavor, and was already mentally calculating what she would need to tell Irka, so that she would also call Lena and express her sisterly solidarity. Family must stick together, especially when it comes to surviving within the comfort zone. And Ilya? Ilya had made his choice. The apartment was quiet and cozy. The dishwasher hummed rhythmically, washing away traces of someone else's presence. Life went on, and she was still well fed.